All right, let's get rolling. We're talking about vape products today. Okay, so there's a lot of questions about vape products. Maybe the most common question I get out of all the questions over the last year has been about all of these vape issues, obviously because there's health and wellness at stake here, and quite frankly, people love vape products. So we're gonna get into them. I'm gonna show you a bunch of different versions and how they work, what the drawbacks to those are, but more importantly, let's talk about the politics and what's going on. So many of you are probably aware that Trump put out a series of tweets towards the end of the year and a few more recently relating to the vape industry and talking about how he's going to sit down, talk with lawmakers, talk with vaporizer manufacturers, and take recommendations as to whether or not there is a serious risk. And one of the results of all of this inquiry has been a series of temporary bans at the state level and threats of a federal ban. So I want to dig into that a little bit and just talk to you about where we're at today, what we know and what we don't know. One of the things we know is the big scare was all of the lung issues that people were having relating to vaping products. When I'm speaking about vaporizer products, I'm talking about THC and CBD cartridges. Unfortunately, when the feds are talking about vaporizer cartridges, they're sweeping everybody into the same pool, essentially. And I think that's a big mistake. One of the reasons I never overreacted to the health issues was because all of us that are building legacy brands and trying to put a lot of integrity into our products and make quality products that are going to last for years and be a part of people's lives require third-party testing. That's one of the best things about the cannabis industry. Although testing has its issues, we do have third-party independent testing that's verifying the quality and consistency of these products, and we're forced to make them in small batches and have them tested over and over again. So I wasn't concerned that there was widespread use of vitamin E in any regulated product, quite frankly, because it would show up in the test results and the customers would know right away. So that kind of brings me to the next question. Why would anyone add vitamin E to one of these products? And it's simple. It's about profits. If you can dilute the product, you effectively can make more vaporizer cartridges, more sales out of less quantity, and that obviously drives profitability. Where is that going to thrive? Of course, in the black market. So I was never overly concerned that this was a regulated issue. This is an unregulated issue, which points us back to the fact that probably the safest thing we could do for the industry is continue to drive legalization and send people into legal shops where they can buy these products with confidence. But that's not the point of this video. What I want to talk about is where we are federally and at the state level more specifically. Here in Washington state, we saw a ban on flavored vape cartridges, which also included terpenes and other additives, which is important to our company and the relaunch of the Suncliff vaporizer line because we have an experience line, meaning that each one of our products is set up so that it falls into a calm, creative, energetic, or social experience for the consumer. And we do that by manipulating the terpene profile to control the experience for each customer. That requires us to add other terpenes, and it also colors the flavor of our products, and we do that specifically. So with a ban on flavored additives and on terpenes, really put us in a bind. We also knew that was a temporary ban, and we were confident that the ban would be lifted. As of February 7th, that ban was lifted, and we are back to initiating the launch of Suncliff products. I'm really excited to get those back out into the market. When we acquired Suncliff, we pulled the product off the shelves, and we went back and said, this is the time to look at everything top to bottom and figure out, do we want to do redesigns? Do we want to use the existing packaging? And what do we want to do with the standard operating procedures and recipes that are being offered to our consumers? Some of it is because technology had improved, and there are a lot of new cartridges out in the market that we wanted to take a look at and see whether or not we wanted to make a change. We're excited to have landed on our final selections, and products will be hitting the store shelves here in the coming months. Let's take a look at the federal level. Federally, there's a lot going on. As I mentioned earlier, Trump fired off a series of tweets, and initially there was talk of just an outright ban. They've backed off of that, and as of now, we've got a sort of ban on flavored vape cartridges. Flavors like menthol and some mint flavors are allowed, and the more fruity flavors have been banned, and that's because it's attracting teenage consumption, particularly in the nicotine market. But that ban is still a little murky. It didn't actually affect the secondary market, which is refillable tanks, and there are a wide variety of flavors that can be added to nicotine bases as well as THC bases that will dictate different flavors and affect the amount of vapor that comes out at exhale. So there are a lot of different variables that fall into this, and I often wonder, by targeting Juul and some of these other big companies, or in this case, protecting a company like Juul, they are allowing the consumers to go in and buy a finished product. So that is a cartridge similar to, where is it? Similar to this one, which is pre-filled, pre-charged, and it's disposable. These products that are off the shelf ready to consume cannot have these strawberry, mango flavors, things like that. Those have been banned, but you can use a refillable cartridge, something like this, and go buy independently the flavor and the taste that you want to add to your vaporizer product. So I don't know that the ban really affects the market that much. I think it affects some big players who are probably selling a lot of flavored vape pens, but what it might have done is send a lot of consumers to the independent market. And when I say independent, I mean the markets that allow you to buy a standalone battery, a standalone cartridge, then mix down your own flavors, which are widely available in virtually every smoke shop across the country because they mostly focus on nicotine. So I think it's safe to say that lawmakers have probably done what they often do, is have a knee-jerk reaction to something hitting the news and something that's important, which is people's lives and their health and well-being. But in reaction to that, there's a knee-jerk reaction to pull everything off the shelves, and all that did was send more people to the black market, continue the problem, and kind of muddy up the waters as to where the source of these issues were coming from. So I'm looking at this from a branding opportunity for our company, and as well as a way to instill confidence in the market that we are doing the right thing. So what we've done as a company is take a look at all these different vaporizer cartridges and look at all the changing rules around vaporizers and ask ourselves, what are the primary issues? One, we want transparency, high quality products, and something that we can consistently provide to the consumer. We also want to avoid falling into the pitfall of picking the most newfangled product that's out there, and this is no shot at any of my friends who are making some of these products, but this is a beautiful product by Mellow, maybe one of the best vape cartridges I've ever had. It's easy to carry in the pocket, it doesn't break when you sit down and the jeans tighten up, you get it. But finding this cartridge is not something that's readily available at every retailer here in Washington State, and I certainly can't go to every market across the country and find a replacement cartridge, which is problematic for us as we're trying to scale to the national audience. Then you go to another company that I like very much, and I'll just leave their name out of it. I'm sure you recognize the cartridge, but a great cartridge. I'm not crazy about consuming stuff from plastics, but it's really convenient again, and it doesn't break. And this brings me back to the tried and true method. This is old school, but one thing about old school is it works. The problem is it breaks all the time. And when you spend as much money as people are often spending on these products, if it breaks, you don't always know whether it's the battery or your cartridge or both that have had an issue. So you end up spending money chasing problems, and it's very frustrating because these cartridges are, quite frankly, expensive. And while you watch me talk here, you can see that I'm trying to change this out, and say for a product like Suncliff where you've got multiple experiences. So it's the afternoon and you want to write an article, you want to consume a little bit of your Calm pen or your Creative pen. That's great, but you're sitting here unthreading this product for a long time, and you're threading a new one on, and every time you use this thing, you're putting it at risk of damaging it. So it becomes problematic for that quick change and those variable flavors that you have. So that was a problem for me, but what I liked about it is we're confident in the ceramic heating element, we're confident in the scientific glass, and there's very little plastic used in a product like this. So with everything, you've got pros and cons. So what did we end up doing? We chose a product that looks like this. I chose it because it fits in your pocket. The battery lasts a long time. It's variable voltage, so if you switch out the cartridge for something that's more dense or more viscous, you have the ability to change, but it's also extremely universal in that it's just like those old cartridges I was telling you we have a lot of confidence in, except it's got a little magnetic thread that screws onto the bottom of this, and it allows you to just drag and drop, pop it into the cartridge, and away you go. If you want to switch out to a different flavor, you grab another one, crack it open, slam the new flavor in, and away you go. So a lot of the things that make this old cartridge so valuable remain in a setup like this, but the drawbacks are left behind. So I'll be the first to tell you there is no perfect product in the industry, but this is something that I like very much from the standpoint of convenience, particularly as a male. Carrying this in my pocket is great. I've got to tell you, I rarely have to charge this battery. I charge it out of fear more than I do necessity. I just don't want to be somewhere where I need it or want it, or I'm trying to demonstrate the product to a new consumer, and it's not fully charged. So this is a prototype. We'll have branded versions of those coming in a few months. But as you can see, we've been testing virtually every cartridge you can find on the market, and we've been watching the news very closely to see when and where it makes sense to launch these things. And I just want to tell all of my friends, family, shareholders, and anyone that's listening to this that I have a lot of confidence that if you're buying a product in a regulated market, you're safe. There were no illnesses from Washington state dispensaries and products that were going through the testing protocols, and I feel confident that that would ring true for every state. As for flavored vape cartridges and the nicotine market and all the hysteria that comes from that, I think I would still play it safe. I would look for products that are manufactured by large companies that have a brand reputation at stake so that you can rest assured they aren't cutting corners for the sake of short-term profits. I wish I could post this video with clear definitions of exactly what's going to happen and how this is all going to play out. But the answer is right now, we don't know specifically what's going to happen, but we do know that the ban on flavored products has been lifted for the most part. I'd encourage you, if you have questions, leave them in the comments below, reach out to me directly. I'm happy to answer questions with what I know. But overall, we're glad to see that vaporizers are coming back to the shelves. We're glad to see that these licensed retailers are buying with confidence. And if you see a Suncliff product in your area, I suggest you give it a try. I'm really proud of it. Anyway, hope you guys have a great week, and I'll check in with you soon.